welcome to um, our first podcast. Um,
Yeah.
so
So,
the what I'll give a bit of an introduction of what our what my goal is here, basically, what the purpose is for the podcast. But what I'll do first, Reds, is I'll just get you to give a brief introduction of yourself.
mhm, sure. So, yep. My name is Redz. I'm from Cebu, Philippines. I am the virtual assistant of Mr. Colby Carter. And yeah, my background is more on the um, admin side. I have a strong background in logistics as well as some operational regarding coding, invoicing, and all those behind the scenes. And what interests me is outdoor activities. I love fishing. I love just being um, in nature and yeah, doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of crazy stuff, it was such a delight when I got to go over the Philippines and do crazy stuff with you.
Yeah, that was amazing. Those 3 days were hell of a 3 days.
Right, so I'll explain how it come about that we decided that we would we were to do a podcast
Mhm.
for the listeners. So Reds and I were having a bit of a planning day. When was it? It was last Monday, and um, I wasn't really feeling a planning day. I wasn't really feeling like focusing on um, the two businesses, the two main businesses. FSA more so being the newly born um, uh, interest to the party. So I wasn't really feeling delving straight back into roofing and accommodation after I'd been away from my trip. So my trip to the Philippines and further abroad to the UK and Ireland. So anyway, um, what the what the planning day come to was like, I'm not really feeling having a whole planning day around that. And I was like, right, well, what do I feel like? What do I feel inspired to do? And what do I feel
Mhm.
inspired to creating a vision and something cool around that would motivate my team, Reds, and I have my basically my sister-in-law is also a part of our close sort of team who does the cleaning and bit of management around my accommodation. So we I've wanted to do podcast stuff for quite some time, um, and it's exactly where the conversation went when we were talking about planning day and what I felt inspired to do. So off the back of that, like, righto, what's the conclusion for the planning day? Um, let's plan to have a do a podcast next Monday.
Yeah. Just pull it out from nowhere.
Yeah,
Just showed up.
yeah. So, what are your how did that make you feel, Reds, when we sort of made that decision that that's what we're going to do?
Yeah, like I'm pretty much open to new stuff. So yeah, this will be my first experience doing a podcast, and I did not think of it as a challenge or something to worry about because I'm already very much comfortable with you as my boss, as well as we have spent quite a long time already to get to know each other. So yeah, I think this will just be a spontaneous conversation and topic related one, of course.
Mm.
Not gherkins, just whatever comes into our mind we talk.
And when we say gherkin, it's like one of the old. Well, it's a system that I language that I learnt in uh, business coaching community that we'd call each other out if we'd just waffle on with shit that wasn't relevant to the topic, or if we
Yeah.
if we're going off topic around the huddle structure that we learnt in that um, community, which was a very short and condensed, get to the point, which makes perfect sense in a business setting. Um, but what we found is our strength. One of our strengths is to just really enjoy in-depth conversation
Yeah.
and just take it where it wants to go. So as much as like I understand there's a need for focusing on business and whatnot, we have to have fun. So
Yeah.
enjoying having conversation and yeah, yeah. Well, on that note, how much better did our huddle go this morning?
Yeah.
It
I think
was
uh, this morning was very structured, as well as detailed. Everyone knows what needs to be done and who's looking after that task to be completed. So yeah, that's a good um, revision to the
and
current.
we were well aware that we were having the podcast today. So I was like, well, the time we get to yak is in the podcast later on. So right now in the morning, we'll cover everything else. And I didn't plan any of that. It was just like it was in the back of my head. We're doing this. This is the time for yakking, and then that just all fell
Yeah,
into place. And as we were having that huddle, I was like, holy shit, this is really this is really on
happening.
point. Like straight to the point.
Yeah,
So there's um there's good or something quite good has come from this already.
yeah.
Yeah. And do you have anything more to add around that, Reds?
Um, I mean, some of the I do believe that some of the great works come unplanned.
Absolutely.
Like you might discover a new whole heap of things, of good things that will just show up out from nowhere. So yeah, this is one of those,
Yeah,
I reckon.
yeah, for sure. And like you have to follow those like really subtle like those
Mhm.
subtle influences of like what do we want to do? Um yeah, I think it will definitely lead to good places. And I cover a few things on that and around like this podcast. Um well, my main goal here is well, one of my main goals here is to be raw as hell. There's no nothing's off the cards. Like it is authentic as hell. Um that's I feel like I'm at a stage now where I can spit words out pretty proficiently to not get hung up, and that's been a process in itself, which I'm this is an extension of that to be on this to be on a format as a such as a podcast, then I think that's going to strengthen my skill even more, and I hope that I can inspire that and influence other people with that as well, and anyone else that comes on to the podcast also can recognize that and then level up themselves in those areas as well. Um,
Mhm.
a big passion of mine is communication. Even at times if it seems like I'm fucking terrible at it.
No, no, you're good. You communicate. It doesn't mean that it's all verbal, but we do okay. This
Yeah,
is okay. So I know what Colby meant.
yeah. You're always welcome to call me out though, Reds, if you're like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Um, righto. So a couple of other things there is so the rawness. I wrote some rules down like how this what will make this podcast work is not getting too tangled up in shit being perfect.
Yeah,
So um I asked ChatGPT like um what makes a good podcast. And then I went through and like, I'm doing this, I'm not doing that, not doing that, not doing that. And that's how I come up with my rules for my podcast. and I'll put that into the details of the podcast for a clear expectation of what to expect,
Mhm.
which I think is important because then there's if there's anything that's not aligned with that, then I'm you're welcome. Anyone's welcome to call me out because I'm not running by my own rules, and I like that structure for all areas of life, business, everywhere. If we've got the rules structured and we've agreed to live by those rules or run a business by those rules, and we're not, then there's due course to bring our awareness back to it so we can get back on track. Otherwise, it just becomes a mess.
Yeah.
Um, so that's an important thing for me for the podcast. Um, and I guess the underlying purpose for the podcast and basically the existence of my already formed brand FSA, and even it goes even deeper than that. The purpose of, and I've just I've written it down in my notes, so I'll make sure I've got it here um, accurately. So I haven't explained this to you yet, Reds. Like
Mhm.
I haven't got into detail about it, but the purpose is basically is to basically to advance the human race. Just to be broad, like
Upgrade.
absolutely always upgrading. But if we're not advancing the human race, then like what are we doing?
Yeah. I
Like we
mean,
probably yeah, go on.
yeah. Go on. No, I was just thinking of the Flintstones. Look at where they started, and look at us now.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in the Flintstones, really. I haven't watched the Flintstones in a while, but I think there's probably some good wisdom that you could dig out of there. But so
Yeah.
I love simplicity. Um,
Yes, exactly. I was about to say that.
yeah. So around advancing the human race, like for me, that's a really profound thing to be heading towards. Like you can still fuck up and like not be perfect, but there's a like in everything we do there is a lesson, and if we're taking the lesson and moving forward, then what else are we doing other than advancing the human race?
Mhm.
And if we can share our knowledge and our skills and our passion, inspiration, then the more we can do that, then the more we are advancing the human race. Um, yeah, and yeah, the mission to zone in on the mission is to grow the conscious understanding of our nature. And when I say nature, it's not just our nature as humans, but our nature as in all of nature, humans also being a part of nature. And all of it is
Yeah.
ours. It's it's our home. It's what we live in. It's what helps us live. um, and to do that, so basically to achieve that, well, the means of achieving that is through exciting conversation and communication, adventure, and deep contemplation. So the main things that I'm about, and that's what will show through in this podcast. Given the name, the adventure within, it's yeah, that's the conclusion of what this is. So, is there anything around that, Reds, that's fairly new to you? So, do you have any questions around that?
Uh, no, it's all good. Let's just take it as we go.
Beautiful.
So yeah, basically, looking at the main point of how do we upgrade humans.
Yeah, so to
Like,
advance the human race.
yeah. So looking back, where all things started, just simplicity, as you mentioned earlier. For me, my point of view in that is as simple as things can be. Human in nature can never be contented, so it's always looking for the shot of the next big thing um, that might result into what you call that one, self innovation, self awareness, and more like deep understanding of oneself. So yeah, that's my take into it. I mean, sky is the limit when when you want to improve yourself. The sky is the limit.
Mm,
You
yeah,
just have to believe in yourself,
yeah,
even if no one else will.
yep. Was that was that your quote for the morning?
Yep.
Oh, nice. It's good to see that it's running deep and
Yeah.
you're in line with it. Yeah, so part of our new huddle structure is on the Monday, what is our quote for the week? And then we come back to it on Friday to see how that showed up for us and what it means to us at the end of the week.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love that you're you're very in tune with that, and there was good thought and consciousness that went into deciding what your quote was this morning, Red.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just today that I thought of it. It's always been my um trademark, so to speak, like a stamp behind my back. I
Mm,
just have to keep remembering that I have to believe in myself, even if no one else do. So it's just my means of motivation that I'm gonna one day I'm gonna prove you wrong. It doesn't mean that's always trying to outsmart things, but it's a way of keeping me motivated. So
mm,
um, regardless of the obstacles and the challenges I faced in life, so it's always gonna be um, it's good to know that I'm trying. I'm a big fan of myself, so I always have pep talk that no Reds can do this one. Just take it one step at a time, one task at a time,
mm. And
and it keeps.
you're definitely not the only fan, Reds.
I hope so. Yeah, but it's just good to know. Once I have achieved the task that I am set up for, it's a good celebration of self victory. Like, yay, I did it.
Yeah.
I have shown them that I can do that and stuff like that.
Mm, yeah. Um, cool. So the other topic, um, the other topic we can still cruise around this topic because I think there's some more gold in on this topic. But the other thing is legacy, and that was a topic that you mentioned the other day, Red. So
Mm,
um, seeing we're kind of sticking to the structure of me interviewing you and getting to know getting to know you better. I'm happy to go into legacy and what that means for you. But first, um, no, stuff it. If anything else comes back that relates to what we're just talking about, we'll delve into it. But we're going with the
yeah.
flow, and this is where the flow's going. So, what does why did you suggest that as a topic, Reds, and what does it mean for you?
Um, for me, it's um because I read it in a book once. So it was part of a leadership training we had in my previous job. So how the question that struck me is how do you want to be remembered? So it doesn't mean that, you know, how do you want to be remembered in general ways, in the previous job or in the current job or in life as we speak. So basically, it's all the things that you have done and you have contributed and you have messed up. So um, I do believe that in every bad or maybe someone might look at you as a bad person or something, but there's always a good side in each and every one of us, regardless of who we are and what we do. So that's just my um that's I believe that solidly. Then when it comes to legacy, as we speak, it's just like how do I want my kids to remember me, or my friends or my families. I have been a lot of ups and downs in my life, and they've all witnessed that. um, as much as I can, I managed to stand up again and dust the dirt and push forward. That's where the quote comes um, handy. So I keep that: believe in yourself, you can do it, even if some of the guys have already lose faith in you. So yeah, and just uh, um from now on, because before in my life it's always gonna be prove this, do this, and then yeah, it's like that. And then I mess those things up what I did. um I strived so hard to complete the task, and at the end part of it, I ruined the task, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
So that's then where the trust issues um melted away and all of those stuff, and then I have to pick myself back. The second part of that journey is the hardest part, because they have already an impression with you with the first instance. So it will be very hard to regain their trust, very hard to, you know, convince them again. But
So
yeah, just keep doing.
I'm curious to know, Reds, what legacy do you want to leave behind? Like, what is your legacy?
For me, it's not just what I have contributed, but what my life meant for others.
Hmm.
Like, um, let's say, or let's talk about work. So, um, I'm at the moment I'm working with you. I will not be with you for the rest of my life until we depart from this planet, or vice versa, and you also and stuff. Things might have changed, but how do I want you to remember me? So I want you to remember me. I had this friend in Philippines back working for me, even though he is so and so like that, but he did this one for me, and managed all the operations and streamlined the process and stuff. And yeah, this is the fruit of what he has contributed then.
Mm.
So it's we um from my perspective, each one of us, human as we are, we all have a good and bad side. So rather than other people just focusing on the negative side and remembering them for that, they get blinded off with the good side that that person did.
Mm.
In some, because they are only um it's uh it's like when you're doing something, 9 out of 10 you're doing good, or you answered in exam and stuff, no one will remember you with that good thing you did, but they will remember the bad thing you did, the messed up you did. So regardless of the quantity wise, but that's um some of us are more leaning into that perspective.
Yeah.
um it's just it makes me sad because um like uh leaders, for example, there are good leaders, and there are those um leeches as we speak. So it's already been given that things happen, but we'll just have to be neutral and weigh in the both factors, the negative and positive ways. Yeah, going back to the question, how do I want to be remembered? So it's like, how I have contributed to their life, so to speak. So yeah, I hope that uh my kids will remember me as you know, my dad look after, and yeah, even though he's far, I know that I'm very much well thought of and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I didn't know much about the Philippines prior to using VAs. I briefly had another VA before yourself, um,
Mm,
which was very brief, so it didn't really give me a big conclusion. But now I know from from the from the relationship that we have, it's I have a faith in I have an appreciation for Filipinos that I didn't have before. So in that respect, you're creating a legacy, not only for yourself, but you're helping with the legacy of your people.
yeah, yeah,
Um, you're boosting that to a new level where people outside um, your country can look at you and go, they're amazing people. They're brilliant in so many ways.
yeah,
So I yeah, I definitely see that as a great legacy.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. Um, yeah. So anything else you wanted to add there, Reds, or
yeah. You were right. I forgot to mention about that. Um, it's like uh, you're exact to the point, like a representation of something. So it's not just for self proclamation or self how do you call it? Like, just want to be noticed as an individual, but rather than um being part of a team, and then you stood up for it and you make things happen. So yeah.
yeah, which is a really good point because that's kind of what I was saying.
Mm,
The majority of legacy when legacy brought up, it's not one of the it's not something that I get that excited about normally. I just um
mm,
it's like I have a better perspective now after having this conversation, but previously it was like like it's kind of more of a like an ego thing where
yeah.
um yeah people want their names, and in some aspects that is what it is for people. So for
Mm,
me, I don't like I'm not that phased. I want to do good things and
yeah.
big like have a positive impact on the world. Um, once I'm gone, really, like after that, I'm just like, oh, I did the best I could. Like, I'm not going to
Yeah.
be I'm not going to be hung up on it when I'm gone. So,
Yeah.
but it is good. Like it happened when I was at a family gathering the other day, and so our family, it's like the family farm that my father my father bought after my parents split up. I was still was my camera gone really funny there, Ritz?
Yeah, you got all washed out.
I'm not sure what I did that before. It's come back again. Anyway,
Maybe the
l-
clouds.
can you let me know? The clouds
Nah,
running amok. Can you
it's
let me
all,
know if it does it
yeah, yeah,
again?
yeah.
Cheers, mate. So and Zoom's doing stuff. It's telling us we're running out of time. We got 10 minutes left, which is a bit of
Mm.
a oh, that makes sense. That is 40 minutes.
Yeah, now it's 11. So we started oh sorry. It's
It will
what?
be 40 minutes in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
So
it will be 40 minutes.
yeah. Um cool. So well that's gone really quick. It normally does when we're having
or
a
or maybe I should just answer a shorter explanation.
no, no, no. Um, the one of the other things is no time limit. So this just being an initial
Yeah,
one where we're getting it off the ground. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So we'll talk for as long as we want. We've got a backup meeting if we want to jump on that afterwards.
yeah.
Um, so um, back on that. Oh yeah, so the family farm. My father purchased it before I was still living with my mum. So always as a kid, I just wanted to go out to the country and out here in Mudgee and just go hang out at the farm. Not really a farm, or we there wasn't much being farmed. Um, we weren't big farmers of much. Um, but yeah, the acres there. And anyway, so my brother bought the property um, when my dad retired, and then so prior to my dad buying it, my dad bought it off his brother, my uncle. So, and my uncle um, bought the place and well built the place, bought the property, built the house. So, and then his name popped up. He's now passed away, but his name popped up when we were there having this family gathering about the property, and it's like that's I'm not like he was out of the picture for quite some time. Yeah, like a lot of time, possibly even like 20 years. Like was that's how long ago it was that I saw him last. But this property still had a legacy of him due to him like buying it, building the house and everything. And yeah, it was kind of cool. Like, even just that, even like I'd be happy with that. So that's the beginning of
Oh, you're washed
my
out again. You're washed out
not
again.
again. It's probably the light might be catching my hands or something and then doing weird stuff. Um I'll just adjust the door
Yeah,
here.
that's much. Yeah, that's better.
I don't think it changed. I don't think I did much, but um right. So where were we? The
Um, yeah, your dad's
uh,
name showed up, pop up.
what do you call him? Papa Dumb?
Yeah, I mean, popped up.
Um yeah, so Papa Dumb's brother. His name is my uncle's name is Ruben. So that was
Ah, your uncle. Yeah.
yeah, so that was his like I see that as a legacy, whether he wanted that to be his legacy, I'm sure he would have been proud.
Hmm.
But for me, I would love that. I'd love to um build a place. Like I've renovated a few properties and stuff, but to build a place from scratch and then have it in the family, that would be I think that would be really cool. Not just a house, not just a property. Um, I feel like something that um like a venue that a lot of people could come and use and yeah, I'd like that to be my legacy. I've got some pretty detailed a pretty detailed vision around that. So and
Yeah.
that is my legacy. If not right now, that I see that as something cool to leave behind, because I feel like I'm going to live forever. So that's not still at this age. I'm just like I've got forever to go. Um,
Yeah. I'm immortal. You're immortal.
and yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
way to like. It's a good. It's like if you feel immortal, like yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good way to. It probably means we're fighting pretty fit if we feel like that death is so far in the distant future. Yeah, it's it's good. So where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I forgot that. We've been talking pretty like we've been talking pretty at a pretty quick tempo, which I had the realization the other day that I sometimes speak faster than my thoughts allow, and then I have to have really long pauses. So that is we may come across that more doing podcasts. Um,
Mm.
anyway, so I'm just gonna let my thoughts catch up for a minute. Um, but this is the rawness that I appreciate allowing myself, and I also offer that to other people as well, is to, if you want to take your time to think, to really think in deep about something, I'm all for it because I thoroughly appreciate having that space to do the same myself. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think we've wrapped up on the legacy part. Um,
Yeah, I think, and we only have 3 minutes left. This
ah,
will cut off.
plenty of time. Righto. Are we happy? I think we're probably pretty good to once we'll still make the most of this 3 minutes, but I'm happy to use this and then we will go about our days. Um,
Yeah, sure.
cool. So, righto. I'm not sure what else there is to add. I think this has been a really good start. Just a fun fact on podcast. I was reading listening some facts about podcasts. Might have been on the Vin and Ali show. I think it was. They were saying that you only need to make, I think it was like 5 or 6 podcasts, like stick with it for 5 or 6 podcasts, and you've done a better, like you've become more successful at podcasting than like 80 or 90% of other people that do podcasts. So I might look that up, but that would be interesting to know. Like if we just get past the milestone of 5 or 6 or whatever it is, then we've
Yeah,
successfully done it. Um, when I say we, it's I'm gonna mix up guests as much as I can and bring other people on. So it was
mhm.
a absolute pleasure to have you on, Reds, and I'm
Oh,
sh
likewise, Colby.
I'm sure I'm sure there'll be many other times where you're able to um, be a guest as well. So
Yeah,
the more we get into this, and uh, yeah, the more knowledge and momentum we get with it, I'm sure we'll find more and more opportunities to play in this space.
definitely. Definitely looking forward to the next session with you.
Awesome.
Workshop, remember? Virtual workshop.
What was the workshop for?
Remember when we were doing troubleshooting and the 5 stories?
Troubleshooting. Oh yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
4 effective ways.
For
There's lots of good knowledge there.
yeah. Well,
Um, yeah.
next
Right.
workshop we'll turn it into a podcast.
That may be the paid. The workshop may be the paid sector.
Yeah.
But thank you for bringing that up, Reds. That's good.
Yeah.
It was good way to
Thanks
wrap
for
up.
having me.
Thanks, Reds.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Colby.
All good, mate. Thank
Enjoy
you.
your
Bye.
day.